Awkward Insurance. I'm your host, Dustyne Bryant, and I am so excited to be here for this episode. But first, hopefully by the time this episode airs, our community count will be much higher than what it is right now. But we just hit 400 members on the Awkward Insurance Facebook page, and I could not have been more excited because I was actually there when it went from $399 to $400. It's like watching that odometer roll from one major number to the next. And so I got to see it tick from $399 to $400, and I was so excited. So if you are not part of our Awkward Insurance Facebook community, please go ahead and find that on Facebook, click the like button, and I will be so happy to see you there. But I have a guest host with me today, and I am so excited because we've been trying to do this for a hot minute, and he is none other than the mayor of Insurance Town and guest number 3 of Awkward Insurance, my brother from another mother, Heath Shearon. What is going on, Heath?
What is going on? What an intro. I love that. You know, Arkansas love right here. And we've come a long way in our relationship from where you hated me, and now we're doing podcasts together 10 years later. Look at this love.
I've never hated you. I just wanted you to make an appointment to get into the office. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you.
Our guest today is Joe Hollier, and we've had to reschedule this event several times. Mostly it was his fault, but, you know, I'm not placing any blame anywhere. I met this guy in 2022 at a conference in Denver, and his topic was honestly one of the main reasons why I went, because I've been working on an article on NFTs. And so when I saw that that topic was going to be presented, I was like, I have to go. Among other things, there were going to be amazing people there. Heath was one of the amazing people there. I honestly went because I knew his wife was going.
Right.
But no, the NFT topic was amazing, and I loved hearing about it. I wanted to hear more about it, but we had limited time on it. He's also an independent agent from Louisiana. You are also a dabbler in NFTs, NFPs, Metaverse, Web3. I could be getting all this wrong. Maybe we just like drop these names so it sounds like we're interested in this.
We can leave all these highfalutin terms out of it. Really, I like the technology of people doing different things in a digital atmosphere. So
right. He's also a slinger of metal business cards. You see this awesome metal business card here? Mayor, did you get one of these?
I learned that by watching Glovebox.
No, I did not.
Why metal business cards, Joe?
Why not? I mean, they leave a lasting impression, don't they? You know what? Actually, this is a great question. My point was proven. Do you have carpet in your office?
No.
Drop the card. That's why. It is a attention getter. I was when we were at that conference, Glovebox, one of the Glovebox staff members handed me their card, and I went to go grab it, and I dropped it by accident, and it just clanged all over the floor. And I mean, that's 30 seconds of people looking for your business card. I don't know. It's an attention getter. You know, had that been just a normal business card, you wouldn't have brought it up in our conversation.
Nope.
So the fact that you had it in your hand and we're talking about it, that's the difference right there.
I guess it is. I think I got one from the Glovebox guys too, but I'm pretty sure I gave that to one of my kids to play with, and it's never been seen again. Right. So you said in Louisiana, it's tough being an independent agent right now. What is going on with the Louisiana market? Because I feel like you guys have kind of jumped into the same pickle jar with Florida at the moment.
It pretty much boils down to reinsurance. You know, Gulf Coast and writing properties in this area is high risk. It's higher risk than, more than it's ever been. Florida, a lot of insurance fraud. They've had that problem for years. And the tricky perfect storm scenario, a lot of the carriers that ride along the Gulf Coast and in our area as well are domiciled in Florida. So they already had taken a beating with the fraud for the last several years. Add Hurricane Zeta and then Hurricane Ida this past year, and they either didn't have enough reinsurance to cover their exposures, can't get reinsurance moving forward. So they're just folding left and right. And with that, the conundrum that has put us in is our clients are losing their homeowner policies, are getting 30-day notices to find new coverage, and nobody's writing business because the markets are shut down. Ones that are still here, they kind of just taking the summer off, waiting to see what happens, not writing business. So it's just what they call a hot mess.
It sounds like a hot mess. So what are you doing? They're getting their 30 days and nobody's writing. Everybody's exiting. What, we're just self-insuring for the next?
Some are, but by and large, Citizens, Fair Plan, the insurer of last resort, which is extremely pricey. But all of it's.
And that's the That's the state fund, right?
It's the state plan, yeah. And it's all, it's never meant to write a lot of policies, but because of the perfect storm situation, they're writing tens of thousands of new policies because nobody had, a lot of folks don't have anywhere else to go. So it's just a tricky situation.
What's your average premium on the FAIR plan?
35 to 6,500.
Holy crap.
And that's not a $600,000 house. That's a $300,000 house or $250,000.
I was going to be even more shocked if you said that was more like a $150,000 house.
It could be. I've never seen rates in the 5 digits unless it's a $2 or $3 million house, but it's not uncommon to see 10, 11, 12,000 for some properties. And that's not even considering flood insurance right now, because flood insurance is doing its own thing, but it's messy.
So what's your best producer, customer service, the customer's always right line or tip at this moment for anybody that's having to deal with this?
It's not so much the customer's always right. This is the number one customer service differentiator right now.
The cell phone you're holding up?
People are not getting phone calls back. People are being left in the dark about what to do. They're staring down the fear of losing their coverage or having to spend $6,000 for a new policy suddenly that they don't have. So communication is always huge, right? But right now for them, it's somebody to talk to and at least help them navigate. And even if they don't like the answers, which a lot of them don't, they appreciate the conversation. And that's what I have more phone calls than I can return right now, but it's slowing down a little bit. We're getting past a lot of the high stress anxiety situation that took place in June and July, and it's still hot and heavy, but not like it was.
And then here comes hurricane season.
Right. So let me ask you this: do your consumers, your customers, the prospects, they understand where you're at, or they still complain about rates or complain about this or that, or do they kind of understand?
It's all over the board, Heath. You have ones that are very knowledgeable, reading all the articles that are coming out, know what's going on, know what to expect. Don't know all the answers, but definitely are educated. And then there's ones who are completely oblivious to what's going on, calling, upset that their homeowner insurance went from $1,400 to $1,600 this year.
That sounds like count your blessings if it went from 14 to 16.
It is. And it's no fault of theirs. But I get so used to talking to people that are aware of it, but no, it's all over the place. You'd be surprised that there's some that are they're there and some that are just ready to, or just have no idea.
You said they called and they're kind of shocked that it went from 14 to 16. I kind of feel like that's average in Arkansas to go from 14 to 16.
That's average. Yeah, that's average. With inflation and everything else, you got to expect a little increase. Rates never stay the same. I still get calls this week, when are my rates going to go down? And I was like, I don't know where you're living, but
the answer is never. I've been doing this for 15 years and I don't think I've ever seen rates go down without a remarket, right?
I think that, and unless we have a string of years back to back where we just see no major storm activity and we start getting a ton of new carriers that competitively draw the prices down, which we were kind of getting there after Katrina for a while, and then we just started getting pounded again. So it's the ebb and flow of our business, but I've never seen it this bad. I've never seen so many companies just unravel so quickly, and so many of them. So that's been a new thing.
Are you seeing agencies around you, or are you thinking about in your agency that focusing more on commercial lines and casualty driven business to get away from some of the property rates and some of those issues?
I would have thought that too, because I actually had conversations about shifting in our agency more towards commercial. The problem is wind coverage is so hard to get, period, no matter if you're commercial or not. So there's a major lack of capacity, whether you're personal or business. And, you can only offer people so many incentives when everything's just going to be ungodly expensive. So the problem with that, as you can imagine, it takes everybody's mindset to how am I going to afford this rather than focusing on the coverages and what differentiates you from this agent. It's how am I going to afford a $60,000, $60,000 a year commercial policy when it used to be 15 grand, so that's a heavy swing, right? So that takes you out of caring about much anything else other than how am I going to survive fiscally when my insurance costs are going up with everything else that's going on.
Yeah. That's like taking food out of a baby's mouth kind of situation. You got to make some hard decisions on whether or not to even be in business anymore because of those costs.
And those are real numbers I'm giving you guys. I'm not exaggerating at all. I've seen or 500% increases. So it's a real beating, and I'm concerned. I think at the end of the day, we're gonna be saying, it's just not affordable to live in this area or in coastal areas, or it has to be some other kind of programs or different kind of capacity. And I think that's where the interesting thing with Web3 and different technology is going to come in. Starting to maybe analyze and create capacity in a different way, because right now the current model is just not practical.
Right. So now that we're thoroughly depressed, because I feel like the energy just got sucked out of the microphones.
It's been great seeing you guys. I love you.
Um, let's shift our focus. Let's shift our focus a little bit and go back to the fun stuff. I want to go back to the fun stuff, the non-fungible stuff.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to take you down that road.
No,
You asked.
I asked. It's
That's
completely
hilarious.
my fault. I just feel like it was like stepping into, hey, how are you doing today? And somebody takes it quite literally and jumps down that rabbit hole,
Right.
You guys are my therapy.
We just
Yeah.
So when you were at the event that Dustin and I were talking about earlier, you got on stage and talked about some things that I had no clue what you were talking about, and I was really trying to pay attention, but I had no clue.
hold on before you answer it. I want to do a little segue into it. So we're gonna talk about non-fungible tokens or non-fungible promotions. So NFTs or NFPs, and wherever Joe wants to lead us on that. But Heath, being that you don't know too much about it, and I don't know that much about it either. I know just enough to be dangerous and sound like I know what I'm talking about when I don't. If you had to describe what an NFT or maybe even an NFP, since that's a newer term for you, and Joe will explain it in just a minute, how would you explain it to a consumer? Like if somebody just walked up to you and was like, yo, Heath, what about these NFTs? How would you try to get into that conversation and be like, yeah, I know stuff?
Seriously, I have no idea. I really don't. Like, I'm trying, and again, I'm glad I'm on the awkward insurance, but I don't even know. I don't even know how to start. I don't even know what fungible means. Like, I'm really struggling here. So
Well, it's the reason why the definition in homeowners policy of fungi. No, I'm just kidding. It has nothing to do with fungus, but that's what it sounds like to me.
Limited fungibles on this show.
limited mushrooms.
Let me
on this
help.
one.
Let me help you out, Heath.
Please. God bless.
So, non-fungible basically means it does not have an exact value or a value that is shared. So, like for instance, dollar bills are fungible, right? If you give me $1, I can give you one back, and there was no gain or loss of value. Non-fungible means whatever the asset you're talking about has its own unique value, and no two tokens or NFTs will have the same value that are equal in appearance or equal in utility, whatever the case might be. Non-fungible just means its own unique value. Fungible means a shared value or the same value, much like cash or fiat money that we're used to is fungible, and that's the basic of what fungible is. Keith wouldn't have the first idea to answer your question, Dustin, about non-fungible promotions, because that is something we at NIFTY came up with and just came out of the blue with. The reason we even did that is because we're working on a community, and actually you'll be really, I think, probably interested in this. It's actually turning and pivoting into a campus, a virtual campus, where we're going to help educate independent insurance agents on digital commerce, to being an agent. We're not going to call it Web3 technology. But here's the thing, Web3 is very complicated. We don't expect people just to jump into trying to use Web3 technology with blockchain and have any idea what they're doing. We're in between the social media, which is Web 2, and Web 3, which is the future. So really we call it like a Web 2.5. It's kind of like we're falling in the middle. We're going to educate on blockchain. We're going to educate on digital assets, how to insure crypto, how to insure NFTs. And it's just catching agents up to speed in an education environment. We realize and we see the significance of education right now. There's not a lot of demand right now for utilizing Web3 technology. There's a much bigger demand for understanding it. And that's what we're focusing on. In order to kind of simplify it, because what you may or may not know about NFTs, it's a digital asset that you have that is basically minted on cryptocurrency. It's on a blockchain. If you buy an NFT, it's going to be on Ethereum or it's going to be on some type of cryptocurrency blockchain. That's how it exists. And that's how they were able to create all these digital records around it. In order to buy it or purchase it or receive an NFT, you have to have a crypto wallet. A crypto wallet is a little more complex. Understanding how to do it, you have to deal with gas fees and things that don't make a lot of sense or things that we're used to as far as transactional. So for us to kind of de-risk that or get away from the complexities of that right now, we created things that look like NFTs, digital images. We branded them with agencies branding, and we're calling them non-fungible promotions. So the idea behind that is we want to show you how you can utilize, how you can play around with, exchange a digital asset, but not have the risk of what the cryptocurrency is doing, not having to put it on a wallet and not having to get really confused by all the complexities of what NFTs are right now. We are going to get to that point, but right now we're trying to keep it simple, stupid, and teach people the basics and the foundational stuff of what eventually we're all going to be doing. Eventually, all of us are going to be trading and transacting on blockchain. It might be 5 years, it might be 10 years, but we're going to get there. Web3 is not going anywhere. So it's all about learning.
So here's a really simple way that I use to try and describe it. And again, it's because I know just enough to sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I really don't.
Dangerous. You know enough to be dangerous.
Right. Enough to confuse people and screw it all up, right? Heath, I don't know if you play any video games like my husband does. He distracts himself with video games, but he's real big into the Major League Baseball video games and he collects the digital baseball cards.
Oh.
That's what I use as an example to explain what an NFT is. He puts a lot of time and effort and playing and our money,
Right.
into buying these digital baseball cards and even little uniforms for the little players to wear, whatever. Those have a value and the values are different. You can even trade them between the players that you play with online and they have a different, I guess it's just like trading baseball cards when you were kids. Like I'll give you these 2 baseball cards for that 1 baseball card or whatever. So that's essentially like the super dumbed down version of an NFT, only it's recorded in blockchain and can also come with different types of utilities. Like the guys at the glove box guys and the insurance guys, they had their little NFTs and they had utilities that were built into them, whether it was, access to having dinner with them, or I think one of them was like lifetime registration to their event. So anytime they hosted an event, they, that one NFT, they don't ever have to pay for another registration again. So you can assign utilities in there. And eventually, in terms of web technology, those utilities can be functional. So you use it as a digital ticket or a digital passcode, if you will, to get into things. Did I do good?
You did great. I'm going to say the $1 trillion question right now these days is in its early stages. Everything that most of the society and people that are paying attention to any of this are associating NFTs with is artwork. Artwork is such a very small decimal of a use case for NFTs. It is what it caught on and became popular and culturally interesting. And people saw how, okay, this is one of the utilities. You can use it as trading art or digital, artwork or art, whatever the case might be. But that is such a small use case. Like for instance, this week, Garrett Droge, they just issued the first COI as an NFT. So
certificate of insurance. Yes, I saw that. The first.
What does that mean? That's what I want to know is what's that mean? To me, that blows my mind. I don't even know what that means.
So instead of it coming on an Accord form that you're sending me, they are transferring a blockchain digital document that, because it's on the blockchain, it's authenticated and it's real. So if you are the person who received the COI, and anytime you have to provide that to somebody, you share that with them and it's authenticated. They know it wasn't fabricated or it's false, so you have to call your agent for it. You've got that real-time COI, asset that is truly validated and is yours. It's not a matter of, somebody could go in and they need to, they could change the dates on it or change the coverages on it. It's what's on there is on there and it's burned on there, and it's another way to validate it. So for instance, And it has contractual terms to it. Let's say you came to NIFTY's campus and you went to one of the kiosks that we're going to have there to buy cyber insurance. Your cyber insurance might be issued on an NFT. It will very clearly define all the coverages of that policy. And because it's on blockchain, the party that's responsible for establishing that contract is obligated to pay that based on its contractual obligation on a digital asset. That's kind of confusing a little bit, probably, but the reality is it authenticates and it validates contracts, it validates ownership, and it validates authenticity as opposed to subjective based on paperwork that you
So
do.
would
Um,
this kind of equate to the shift from paper agencies to digital agencies or paperless agencies? It's kind of along those same lines, only a step further in terms of you can make sure that these documents are not like you can pull up a PDF and with the right Adobe software, you can edit that PDF. Even though your agent sent it to you, you can edit
mhm.
it, you can change them, you can add or whatever. Is that kind of like what this NFT contract it's still basically the same policy, the same terms and whatever. It's just that you know that
Yeah,
the words haven't been altered and it's authenticated, validated, date,
exactly.
time stamped, right?
Right. It's privacy, but it's also transparent. It leaves nothing up to speculation. So when you have that, it provides a different kind of truth layer for whatever's going on, whatever business you're in. It provides a different kind of ownership and truth level that or layer that we're not used to. There's a lot of burden of proof in the way we do business now. And I think that's just going to solve a lot of it. There's not going to be a quick shift to that, like you're saying. Like we're not
It's going to
about
take
to
a
go from
lot of
paperless to
consumer
NFTs.
adoption.
It's going to take a lot of adoption. However, at some point, everybody's going to demand transparency. I'm not used to that. I'm 50 years old. I've done things on paper. I've done things the way I've done them forever. But there's going to be at some point a demand. Like if it's not done on blockchain and the transparency doesn't exist, a lot of folks at some point are not going to want to do business with you. You're going to be the one that's the oddball. So being prepared for that blockchain transactional aspect of any kind of business is going to be crucial to understand it so that you can prepare how do you want to do business, that's there's a lot of experimenting right now though. A lot of it is still a lot of question marks. See, there's no like this
No,
isn't black and white.
yeah.
This is how do we take this technology and utilize it, but make it human friendly. We're still human.
So yeah, I guess if it's all real time and it's all like right there, why would the need to send a certificate of insurance every year be needed? Like if you could just see when it cancels or when someone doesn't have any more changes their insurance, would you need to still send a COI every year? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. But that NFT is going to have a clearly defined end date. It's not going to be subject to editing or endorsing. If you have extended coverage and it's going to be a different NFT, it's going to come out on, and business person A is going to want to see that updated. I don't know how COIs are going to work with NFTs. I'm just sharing with you what I know is happening. So it's going to the use case and the practicality still.
Right. Yeah. No, it's all just getting started, but I can hear and see the same questions I think that Heath has going on in his mind right now. Like this is still like the NFT is still a one-time document, and if a change needs to be made to that COI, it's going to have to be done on another NFT, if you will. Or if that coverage cancels, the date doesn't change on the NFT. It's going to be another recorded transaction in terms of the cancellation. So I can see how that can maybe get a little this is all just starting though. Like you said, this isn't something that is like going to be tomorrow you're going to be issuing COIs on NFTs. It's going to take a while to get around this. But with those embedded utilities though, I can see how there's a way that maybe you can automate some of this with embedded utilities in the NFTs. I mean, that could be hopeful though, that if you make a change, then the COI automatically updates itself and records another transaction on its own rather than having to, manually make that.
We're at that part of the curve right now that it's still really confusing. It's really hard to wrap our minds around doing this at volume, right? Kind of like the idea of like, okay, we're getting away from faxing you proof of insurance and we're going to email it
Are
to
we
you.
though?
That was probably the same kind of steep curve, right? So A lot of things seem second nature now, but that's because we've been doing it for so many years.
Joe, I just saw somebody on social media this morning. It's like, so who do you guys use to fax? I'm not going to be faxing. I'm like, come on.
Wow. Yeah.
I didn't realize we were still there. So are we really transitioning from faxing?
Right.
My favorite response when somebody asks me to fax something is no. I don't fax. I don't have a fax machine. I have nothing that looks like a fax machine. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. Give me a link to send it to upload it to. But anyway, point of my story is this is all, every iteration of the web and the internet has felt awkward, right? I mean, we forget because we're so far down the road now with what we've done, but you forget how long it took businesses to even consider, much less spend money on a website for their business. We forget how long it's taken people to get Facebook accounts. I know business owners that still don't have Facebook accounts. We forget how when Web 1 came out and our AOL was connecting to the internet for 10 minutes. Right. And once you were on, it's like, okay, great. Now what do I do? Am I going to look at pictures? But nobody had any idea what to do. Nobody had any idea what to do with it. And that's kind of where we are right now. And I'm going to go back to this point before. This is not about jumping into Web3. Web3 is completely complex. This is about understanding there's a few items that are going to become relevant for us in any industry. And one is the use of blockchain and understanding digital assets and being able to navigate in that ecosystem, understand how they work, what they look like. Because at some point, the demand is much like social media, there's going to be a demand for you to be able to do business that way. And that's really we're not trying to teach Web3 in 6 months here. This is going to be a multi-year process.
He does it's speechless.
I truly am. I really and truly am, because when I think about all this, and you mentioned metaverse, and I've seen all this stuff, I'm picturing do you remember old school Sims? I'm picturing that, and our world is going to be like Sims, and we're going to be selling insurance on Sims world. It freaks me out because I imagine a world where it's I'm going to work, honey. You sit in your recliner and you put your VR goggles on, and all of a sudden, I said goggles, and then all of a sudden, you see yourself in a suit and tie, and you're at the office and you're working, but you're really in your recliner and your boxers. That's what I'm picturing our world.
Yes.
Another part
That's
of
what I want.
my other visual is Wall-E, and we're all fat in these spinning. Anyway, I hate where our world is.
You watch too many Disney movies.
Oh my God, I do. I have kids. I don't want to make it depressing again, but I'm so scared of the future. You're freaking me out, bro.
All right, so we picked the wrong guest host.
So apparently, I'm kind of a depressing guest. I'm super sorry about that. That's not coming anytime soon. I mean, that might be 20 years away. We're not about to go, goggles all day long, because it's gonna blow our minds, literally at some point. Not because it's just so awe-inspiring, but because it's hard we don't live in that world, So I don't see that being a thing. But what we are going to be doing is, I think, transitioning or going back and forth between our reality and digital reality and augmented. I think augmented reality is going to be a much bigger game player than virtual reality. Being able to look at something, get some kind of risk assessment or risk management tool that pops up or makes itself available, whether it's on your phone or on your glasses. Apple's got some really sweet. Speaking of, I know you just got some readers like I did, so I'm going to throw that out there. But Apple's got glasses that are going to look just like this. They're not going to be the big clunky VR glasses. They're going to look like regular glasses, but you're going to be able to see things or project digital social sites, risk sites, or whatever the content you want to do, which is going to blow your mind. Check this out. All right. So here's where you two are different. We are building, as we speak, a virtual campus that we're going to be educating. Okay. I told Dustin last time I talked to her, I'm going to let her know when we're ready to walk through, because I'm going to send her a link and invite her. I was going to extend the invitation to Heath, but I'm thinking Heath might have nightmares if I bring him. So good news, Heath. You don't need goggles to go into our campus. It's still virtual. So here's the thing. You show up to the site. They allow you to take a selfie from your camera like you are now. They take a picture of your face and they use my picture and they create a digital version of me. You can put whatever kind of clothes on you want. It takes like 5 minutes.
Can I be skinny?
Oh, Lord, Heath.
Dude, did you see my guy? He is cut. Like, he looks good. Like, if there's any reason to go on, it's your avatar version is whoever you want to be.
This sounds like we're trending down a whole other mental health avenue.
Right? I'm gonna make I want to be Dustyne as my avatar.
Oh my God.
You can.
Like identity theft. It's a whole nother situation. Like somebody steals your avatar and acts like you and ruins your whole metaverse self.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna ruin your metaverse self.
So note to self, an invitation for Dustyne, none for Heath.
This conversation has been so much fun. I think it's been even more fun to just watch Heath's face the whole time. Like,
yeah.
We went from like blank stares to what the hell to, oh my God, to I'm out. It's just, there's so many emotions that Heath has displayed. I wish we had a recording of the episode, to be honest with you.
I've also realized I will never be asked to co-host with you again, and I'm so sad about that. Why couldn't you have given me something?
No, not at all.
Why couldn't you have given me something I could have hit like a home run out of? This is just
Heath, can I make you an offer? We are about to start doing a podcast in our metaverse space. Would you like to be a co-host in our metaverse podcast?
I don't even know what that means.
So wait a second. You just came on Awkward Insurance to ask Heath to be a co-host to your metaverse podcast. What the hell just happened?
I don't even know what that means. I mean, is it a real thing, or do I need to put goggles on? I don't even know.
What is with you and the goggles? You're dying to put goggles on.
Because that's what I'm picturing. Is these like Oculus goggle things?
I feel like there might be some childhood trauma related to goggles for Heath.
Right?
But no, in all seriousness, I appreciate you just being honest, man. Like we're all trying to learn, and it's a lot to absorb, and I'm not making it any easier today, but I certainly can tell you blockchain's going to be everything. Okay, blockchain, NFTs, and all these other words, they are what they are. But blockchain is going to be what you're going to have to pay attention to, and I want to help facilitate a simpler understanding of that. So whatever I can do to help, that's my thing.
That's his thing. That's all there is to it. Guys, thanks so much for being on Awkward today. I'm still kind of like waiting for my invite to be the podcast co-host, but I mean, it's just not going to happen. That's all right.
You know you are.
It's all right.
You know you are. That was my roundabout way of asking you that.
I take direct messages only. I don't beat around the bush or do the passive thing. It's not really my style.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Anyways, thank you so much for being here, Joe. I have been looking forward to this conversation. I feel like we could go on, and honestly, I could. And I just need to like have coffee with you in Louisiana sometime and just chill over metaverse and web technology and learn more to sound like I know what I'm talking about, but don't. Mayor Heath Shearon, thank you so much. You guys go and check out his podcast, Insurance Town Podcast. It's amazing. He's really fun, has a ton of awesome guests on there, and he's doing some amazing things. But thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry I ruined your podcast.
You did not ruin the podcast.
Toodles.
Thanks for hanging around and listening to another awkward conversation in insurance. Stay tuned for new episodes from Awkward Insurance wherever you listen to your podcasts. And be sure to check out the National Alliance on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or at scic.com. Now go forth and be awkward. Toodles!